Hi class, today we're going to be covering how to create your home page, otherwise known as your index page, for cataloging the assignments that you create in Flash and then uploading them to the web server. The first thing we're going to do is open up Flash and choose to create a new file. Once the file is opened, we're going to create ourselves a new text area. So we're going to click on the text tool and I'm going to type in my name. First and last name would be great. We're going to increase the properties on this particular, so I've shift up arrow to select all of the text. In my property inspector on the right side of the screen, I'm going to increase the actual font size. Using my selection arrow, I can use this to pick it up, drag it, center it, etc. Okay, I'm going to go back to my text tool. I'm going to click over here to identify that I'm working on chapter 1. And again, shift home is going to select all of that text, and I'm going to decrease the font size so it's not so in my face. Bring this back down. You can also double click inside of there and modify the font color to something different than the Angela. Beneath chapter 1, if you recall, we submitted our balloons assignment. The balloons. Okay, a shift home will select everything, otherwise double click in that area. Now the thing about balloons is that this is the file that you've submitted for grading, or you will be submitting for grading. So we're going to click over to the property inspector, expand where it says options, and I'm going to preemptively state that you should catalog each of your assignments into its own chapter folder. So while you're not seeing it, I'm going to have created a folder called CH1, all lowercase, no spaces. And rather than spelling out chapter, I'm going to keep it pretty short with the CH1 so I don't have any misspellings by accident. / the file that I created was called balloons, BALLOONS, period, HTML. Now you might question why I'm putting the HTML, and the reason for this is because this index page that we're creating is going to be the first page for us to click on. And when I click on balloons, I want to take it to my balloons.html page, which is generated by Flash, and that balloons.html page will have a param tag inside of it to open up or to display the Swift file, the SWF file that Flash has generated for us. Okay, so once I've typed in balloons.html, I'm going to press the Enter key. Be careful that you don't just click off or you assume that it's going to remember it. Always remember to press the Enter key. You'll notice there's a visual under balloons when I press the Enter key that I'm now underlined, signifying that there is a hyperlink there. I'm going to click on chapter 2. I'm going to change the font color just to jazz it up a little bit. Okay, underneath chapter 2, we're going to be working on a file called Go Fish. Okay. So the thing with Go Fish is that I would like my text to say Go Fish, but the actual file name isn't called Go Fish, it's simply called Fish. And because it's part of chapter 2, I'm also going to set this to go to a folder called ch2/fish.html. Enter. Once again, by pressing the Enter key, you'll see that I have a dotted line when I'm in edit mode, and when I click off, it's a solid line. So this is the beginning to my index page. I will continue to build on chapter 3, chapter 4. If at any point you run out of space in this white area, this is your stage. Always go back to your selection arrow, click in the gray area outside of your stage, and you'll have access to your stage to increase the file size, both height and width. Certainly you can also make a change to the background color. And as we go on through the semester, you may want to add in some graphics or some animations, but no hurry on getting to that point at this time. So seeing as though this file is currently called Untitled 1, I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to save this to my documents. Create a folder called 224. Happens to be our folder, our class number, and inside here I'm going to save this file under 224 as index It's going to be saved as an FLA file. And now I've saved it. So again, I'm going to go to my PC, go to Documents, we're going to find 224, and there's my index page. Okay? So now, this index page is a Flash file, which is not renderable by the browser. We need to generate a Swift file. Okay? Now if I press Control Enter generates a Swift file for me. I'll show you. Now the Swift file has been created. Okay? Now having the Swift file created doesn't really help me quite yet because I need to be able to upload this to a web server and have the web server or this page show as an HTML file. Because by default web servers aren't going to look for a file called index.swf, rather they're going to look for a file called index.html. So I'll close out of my Swift generated window and back to my FLA file. This time I'm going to go to File and choose Publish. And by choosing Publish, if you've not already generated a Swift file, it will generate you a Swift file, and it also creates you an HTML file. So again, I'm going to go back to my 224 folder, and there is my HTML file, there's my Swift file, and here's my Flash FLA file. Alright, so now let's say I have another file called Fish. So I'm going to create a new one, and we will hypothetically, balloon. We're going to create ourselves a few balloons briefly. Not a whole lot of detail here. So there's one balloon, two balloon, three balloon. Alright. Certainly by no means are my three balloons finished, but you will see they're all meshed objects because you can see the dotted notations there. Alright. If I were to create the curly ribbon, using smooth, curly ribbons using the pencil tool, which means I need to set myself the color, or pencil color, it's listed right there. So there's one ribbon color, change my pencil color to another color, two ribbon colors, and dun, 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 three ribbon colors. Okay, so you get the idea what my balloons assignment is. I've not yet completed it, but nonetheless, I've created this file. I'm going to go to File and choose Save As, and it's going to default to my 224 folder. However, I would like to create a CH1 folder. If you recall, we're going to hyperlink from index to the balloon file, which is sitting inside of a folder called CH1. I'll double click on CH1, and this file is now going to be called balloons. Okay, I'm going to verify that I've called it the correct name. I'm going to go back to my original file, and I click on balloons. Notice right here, I've created a folder called CH1, and I did in fact call it balloons with an s.html. Okay, so right now if we were to go check out our folder, on chapter 1, balloons.fla exists, the other two, the Swift and the HTML, do not yet exist. So we'll click on File, go to Publish, bada bing, bada boom. It's created for me all three balloons folders. So this is the process in which you would go through for all the upcoming assignments. For each chapter, you're going to want to go through the File, Save As, and make sure that you're creating a folder for each chapter in the file that you're creating. The file name that you've given to this, in this case balloons, is one word, and all subsequent files names that you create, make sure you create them as one word without spaces so you can anticipate what you're going to call them when you go to your index page. Okay? Thanks for watching the video. Continue on to the next version or the next part of this video for how to FTP these files up to the web server. Thanks and have a great night.